have. You don't have dad fuel
Oh,
today.
no. So I have a bunch of different mugs. So this
Same.
is the Harbor Cafe. It was
Okay.
actually a coffee shop that I owned. And
What?
yeah, I used to own a coffee shop, and it was like in a small bistro, and I had that for a couple of years, and then I
Love
sold
that.
that. Yeah, but it was called the Harbor Cafe.
That's
And so I had
great.
these mugs made up by actually a woman in North Carolina who made these from her garage in her house,
Yeah,
and
pottery's huge here.
yeah, and yeah, so I have a couple bunch of these that I still use. I
Love
really love them because they're
that.
really great and good quality and
I've
stuff.
got
So.
I've got the Arizona mug. This was actually sent to me by a student
Oh, very
who lives in
nice.
Arizona, so
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
it.
No,
Well, there you go. Well, hello everyone. We're just talking about coffee already.
I mean,
Welcome to
we gotta.
VO Journey live with Anthony and Gabby. It's good to have you. This is our second episode.
Yeah.
So if you've come back, thank you. You didn't decide to. I'm never turning into them
To
again.
our voiceover coffee talk, which probably
Yes.
somebody else already has. Who knows?
Probably. Well,
Ah,
today we thought it would be a good idea to talk about something that I know Gabby and I are both getting
oh my
a
gosh.
lot of questions, even more so recently, and that is, right, getting work,
Yeah.
getting voiceover work.
Yeah, for sure.
Why don't you start off? Talk to me about what you're hearing and seeing and
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's no surprise to anybody that there's some economic volatility right now.
oh yeah.
And so whenever that happens and people see auditions start to slump and they see opportunities slump, of course it turns to how do we generate more of them, which
Mm-hmm.
is good. I will say though, it little late to the party if you're waiting till now to do it, right? It's something that should have been started a while ago, but despite, I don't want to chastise people. Um, but it's always about, I think, finding people on their turf. And what do I mean by that? It's not about the marketplaces and the pay to plays and things like that. It's finding people where they exist naturally and organically for their business. So trades and organizations and networks that have nothing to do with voiceover, but
Mm-hmm.
everything to do with your client. So,
Yes.
be it publishing or e-learning or the creative communities, things like the American Advertising Federation, which is a big deal. They have chapters everywhere. That's a way to start that process. I went to a networking event here locally Monday night, which I rarely do. It just happens to be a group of creatives in the area that are really spearheading this thing. And, I ended up having a lovely conversation and giving my business card to a gentleman who does nothing but deal in advertising and creative production for healthcare.
Mm,
Great connection,
yeah,
Um,
that
so
is great.
yeah, so I think it's stuff like that. I think it's getting out of our comfort zone,
Hmm.
right? And meeting people where they are. And it doesn't mean face to face necessarily, although that's good when you can do it. Um,
No, absolutely. I think there's so much nowadays, especially now more than ever, with platforms have taken so much. I wouldn't necessarily say yes. There's a lot of work that goes through platforms, but
mhm,
still, the majority of the work goes through independent studios and
mhm,
things like that, right?
yeah,
But the platforms have kind of like the monopoly on Google search and things like that, right? When you see that, so because of that, I think we can easily veer away from, especially newcomers, to the whole idea of getting leads,
yeah,
potential clients in a pipeline. Not all clients are not, and not all leads in your pipeline are going to lead to work,
no,
right? But that whole idea of, finding, just like you said, finding leads, putting them into a pipeline, starting to reach out to them, is very important. We were talking about this last night, and as simple as saying, what are some areas, that you could find potential clients. Well, we were talking about video, explainer videos and stuff, and
Who
maybe
is the we? Back up. Was this
sorry,
in your
sorry. So
marketing
we our
class?
VO Journey Academy,
There
yeah,
we
we
go.
had our marketing class last night on Wednesdays. There you go. Thank you. And and so we were talking about that, and the topic last night was, understanding what a lead is,
Right.
and then how to find a lead, right?
Mm,
And then as we move into next week, we're going to be going over, how to craft that first email to them and everything. But anyways, so talking about that, we were kind of going into just one category, video explainers, right? And producers. So explainer video producers, and how, searching for them using a free tool like Google,
mhm.
and then using directories as well to find lists. I mean, there's tons of blog posts, directories out there that just give you lists of these producers or these companies one after another.
Yep.
And you can go to their websites. They have, some will have um, broader emails, and some will have more, tailored emails to a specific person. But you can find the contact information on any one of these sites, and start to build a potential pipeline. And I do think that that is maybe an art that some of we're not into as much, some of the newer people, because
Mhm.
of the platforms. It's not a bad thing. I don't know. I'm just noticing it. I don't know if
Yeah.
you notice it too.
Well, I think there's also there's fear, I feel like the platforms and this is where the internet as a whole, right? It's done us both a huge service and a huge disservice. There's the anonymity gives people a certain amount of confidence to be able to approach people. But then there's also the lack of confidence where people start to second guess themselves and go, "Oh, I'm too new. I don't have anything to show. I don't know what to
Right.
say." And right, they kind of end up down that spiral, and often that's where we see people with a sort of paralysis about reaching out and making connections. And you
Oh
you
yeah.
you just have to do it though. You just have to, like, I mean, Monday night, I literally had to sort of, thrust my hand out in between two people that were in a conversation because I literally just wanted to go, "Hi, it's nice to meet you. I heard you speak. I thought it was great. I just wanted to give you my card," and then like literally go to dip to leave, only to have that person then pull me into the conversation and go, "No, no, 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 come on, join us."
Right.
But if you don't do it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
No,
it's
of course. And another thing too is I hear a lot of people saying they're afraid to do this step because they don't have a website yet, right?
mhm,
There's this,
mhm.
or they're not confident about how good their demos are,
Right, or about
right? Or
how, yeah.
there's so many of these things that, like you said, cause a paralysis.
Mhm,
And I tried to point out last night, and I would point out to everybody watching, even if you do feel like, let's just say you are brand new and
mhm,
you don't really even have a demo yet or
yeah,
something, and you're working on these things. What we're talking about here does not involve you having to have any of these things. It's just a beginning of collecting a potential list of clients that
yeah,
could be clients, and I think that will help also boost your confidence as you go about learning how to get these things, right?
for sure. I have had over the years and met over the years, people who have sought me out as a coach, who have come to me and gone, "So I have a really weird scenario," and I'm like, "All right," and they're like, "So, I started, I basically they'll go, 'I booked a voiceover job,' and I'm like, 'Hey, that's great for you. What's the problem?' And they're like, 'Well, I don't have a demo, I don't have a studio, I don't have a website, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never actually done a voiceover.'" And I'm like, "No way."
Mm.
And it's but you kind of go, "The balls on these people."
Oh
It's
yeah.
amazing, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so many of them, yes, they've booked work simply by putting themselves out there and
Yeah.
saying they are something, even though maybe they have a little bit of that imposter syndrome thing. and then
Yep.
they figured it out on the backside. That was the crazy part. I love it. I love and so if you're a student of this industry, you're already a huge leg up
Mhm.
on those people. You
Mhm.
probably have a lot of the tools in place that they didn't. People will take you at face value. They will. No one's gonna go like if you go, I'm a voiceover actress. Nobody's gonna call you out and be like, oh BS. No, you're not. You know,
Right.
who does that? No.
Right, exactly. Interesting. So a segue to, I'm not sure it's Iron. So welcome everybody in the chat. But Iron put in, is it possible? Actually, I can show this. Here we go. He said, "Is it possible to be successful in VO using a Blue Yeti mic?" Thanks. I wanted to actually address this question because we're kind of talking about
Yeah.
people beginning, just starting out.
Mhm.
I don't know, Gabby. Why don't you take that one?
Oh, it's a tough one. No. Eh, cringe, right? I mean, I try to be nice. Um, no, no. A Blue Yeti is a terrible mic. It was really popular, what, like 10, 15 years ago, like when it
Hmm.
first hit the scene, I feel like, and people
Hmm.
made this huge to do about it. And I guess for like the early days of podcasting and the early
Yeah.
days of like, self-narrated things, it was really popular.
Right.
But oh man, over the years I've known so many people that have tried to use a Blue Yeti and it's been very unsuccessful.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, we all start where we start.
Yeah.
I remember, when I started, I had just a $40 microphone. It was the Snowball, the Blue
Mhm.
Snowball. And I quickly realized within a few days that that was not going to work.
Yeah.
So I had to, upgrade to a Rode NT1. Well, I actually got a Rode NT1A.
Mm.
But anyways, yeah, I agree. You gotta upgrade that one.
I
Um,
would say the bare minimum, right, that I've ever heard of people entering the industry with is a $200 mic.
mm,
Like that's and I'm using it as a price point rather than a brand name because I
sure.
feel like that's about where it starts. Reputable, fairly well recommended, well reviewed $200 mic is about what is minimum to
Yeah,
entry in. Yeah.
yeah. And also, be aware too that there's different parts of the industry that will probably command a different mic as well.
Oh yeah.
Audiobooks are typically, because of the length of them, and the kind of editing that goes along with them. Sometimes you don't need as an expensive mic.
Mm,
But in higher end commercials and things like
yeah.
that, and when you're doing things, it does matter. Your equipment really does matter.
Oh, for sure.
It really matters.
Yeah, there's so many companies who
Hmm.
will literally say things like, our preferred bike is, and it's always the same three. It's always going to be either a TLM 103, a Neumann U87, or a Sennheiser 416. Like over and over and over again, those
Well,
three mics, which technically are all made by the same people.
it is hilarious. Yes, they're owned
Yeah.
by the same company. All right, we have another question from Ryan. So Ryan says, "I bought a Shure M whatever to start recording, but I remember your video on condenser was dynamic, and my question is, should I just go ahead and switch over to condenser? I have a full-time job. Money isn't an issue." Oh, I guess
Mm.
that's what they were saying. Okay. Um, yeah. So I have seen people who have been successful or get good work with a Sure. I guess I'm assuming you mean the S or the SM7 or
The
the, yeah,
7B.
the
Yeah.
7B, right? The podcast mic. Um, and that is a dynamic microphone. I have seen people get that. I mean, the big difference, right, or that the supposed difference between a dynamic microphone and condenser microphone, right, is condenser microphones are more sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be able to maybe pick up more intricacies in the voice, giving your performance that little extra something, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
you can say, but that microphone's a great mic. So, now for me, personally, yes, I go condenser. I have a condenser. Now, what I record, see, this is the RE20, right? Which is another dynamic old type
Mm,
of radio mic.
mhm,
All
the good old
right.
workhorse.
Yeah. But I don't record my voiceovers on it. I record on a condenser microphone.
So it's funny, the RE20 and 27 were actually my first mics coming out of radio because it was what I knew,
Right.
and I was
Yeah.
so comfortable with them. And of course I had to get, a preamp to cloud lift them because their
Mm-hmm.
signal strength is so low.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. I
you
have
know,
the
yeah,
Fed head on it.
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, I loved that mic and it served me well for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, some of the question of condenser versus dynamic is your space.
Mm.
And it's, the sound quality in the room and the space that you have. Like I have a TLM 103 and I love it to death, but I rarely use it because it picks up everything.
Oh
It's
yeah.
so sensitive. Like a butterfly farts across the street and that mic is like, I heard that. It's, so I try.
We're gonna
How's,
put that on it.
how's that for an,
We're gonna put
yeah,
that on a quote.
how's that for a
That
visual on
there
a
you
on a
go. We're gonna
Thursday
put that
morning?
on a quote. That's right.
But yeah, that mic knows all. It's an oracle. So I don't use it for that reason because for home
Oh yeah.
recording, not always the most forgiving.
No, absolutely. And I'd gotten a shotgun mic. So another option for
Mm,
some people, is a shotgun mic, which is a condenser microphone, right? But it's a very narrow pickup pattern, so it can eliminate some noise. But
yeah,
it's all about your space.
yeah.
That really is true. We have, let's see, Joy says, "I'll tell you the paralysis in regards to getting demos is the controversy as to which one as a beginner." So I to get, for instance, the
Mm,
reason I can't complete my website is that I want to use my demos.
mm.
So I'm assuming you're asking which demo should you get first? Is that what you got from that question, Gabby? I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Um.
And Joy, you've been around for a while. I have seen
Yes.
your name a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years. I think that the question is twofold, right? It's number one, what kind of feedback are you getting from coaches, from other voice actors regarding, right, your voice and where it's best used, and therefore what sort of a demo should you make based on that? Because it's it it's a very strange combination of it's not about us, but it's also not about us. It's
Yeah. It's yeah.
yeah, it's like there's no formula, right, as to exactly what type of demo somebody should make. Instead, it's about what market are you serving. And if you're
Great point.
unsure as to what market you should be serving, that's where some coaching could, you know,
Oh,
definitely
that's a
be
great
helpful.
point. I used to say all the time, the very first demo you should get is a commercial demo. I used to say that all the time.
Mhm.
But now as the years have gone on, I'll be honest with you,
Yeah.
I actually don't say that anymore. I
No, I
say,
don't either.
well, which, part like audio, maybe you want to get in audiobooks, maybe you want to
Exactly.
do something with streaming. Maybe there's so many options now that you don't have to start with any one particular. It's whichever one
Mhm.
best suits you at the moment
Yep.
and what you have access to. There are some demos that will be a little easier per se to put together. They might not involve a lot of music or effects or
Mhm.
things like that. So that's a nice option too for some people who want to get up some demos but don't necessarily have the funds yet to
Yeah.
do a big demo.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, no, that's a great question. Oh, so Ryan said we've got just a few more minutes, everybody, probably about 2 more minutes. Okay, so let me update it. My current office is probably the furthest thing from soundproofed. Hard floors with we have thin
Ooh.
walls. Yeah, so probably then a dynamic microphone would be a good option.
Mm. Yeah.
With the idea that you are working towards getting all of those things treated and taken care of.
Yeah, at the very least, get yourself a big, ugly, fluffy shag rug for the floor.
Hmm.
Get rid of that floor reflection for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No matter what you get, your space in the end really is the most important part of this whole process. And then as you upgrade equipment, right, it sounds better and better. But the space, I always say if you have, your space isn't well treated, but you have a
Mm,
really expensive mic, it just makes, the space sound that much worse. Like, because I mean, it's better at making it sound worse.
Don't make me spit out my coffee, Anthony. Damn it. I mean,
Well, it
it's
is.
so
I mean,
true.
and
So true.
that's the hard part about it, right? It really is. But yeah, I would definitely recommend a dynamic mic, something that is going to, curb some of that
Yeah,
background.
for sure.
All right. Well, I think we are good to go. I
Yeah,
really appreciate everybody and your comments and your questions today.
absolutely. And I mean, guys, like pop us an email or a direct message or something.
Hmm.
And, for topic ideas, things you want to hear. I mean, we've got loads of them, but, we like to hear from you. So why not?
Absolutely, because that would be
Yeah.
great to have a list of questions too that we can help you
Yeah.
guys with as well. Well, hey, listen, everybody, thank you so much for watching today. Have a wonderful Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.